Call this regular meeting of the Nevada City Council to order on Monday, January 22nd, 2024, 6:05 p.m. Can we get a roll call, please?
Hanson.
Here.
Portman.
Here.
Young.
Here.
Campbell.
Here.
Guy.
Here.
Sandy Eric. Here.
First item is approval of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Jane and Sandy. Seeing no discussion, council please vote. Is approved. Takes us to consent agenda. Any item may be removed from consideration. Move to approve. Second. Brian and Dane. And that was something that typically license approval have been handled in consent agenda, but because there is so much interest in those are pulled out of the separate agenda items. We can further discuss. Any discussion on consent? Seeing none, council please vote. Is approved. Takes us to public forum, which is time set aside for comment from the public on topics of city business other than those listed on the agenda, and no action may be taken. And so we will be saving the card regarding the license issues. But at this point, there was an actual public forum request from Allison, so we'll have you head up to the podium and see your name and address, and you can address your.
Thank you. My name's Allison DePenny. I live at 2010 Rockaway Drive, Nevada. And it's been a long time since I put a stroller around town. But the last few years I've been pushing one, and I realized that we don't have a sidewalk on the west side of Highway Park. And there are so many children that live on that side of town in the apartment buildings and just that side of town. And they walk on 6th Street. And it is so dangerous. And I was walking on that side of the street because to get to the post office, I had to walk on the street. And then when I came to the railroad tracks, then I was in a whole lot of trouble because there are those cement barriers in between. So that meant I had a choice of jumping the barriers and trying to get over to the other side of the sidewalk, or four-wheeling it down into the grass and then getting the sidewalk that was on the west. So I just didn't know what the procedure was for requesting or looking into a couple of sidewalks. And I know I make it sound easy, but like at least in the park for the kids to like have a sidewalk or a sidewalk in between those yellow, I think they're like condos or townhouses that connect to the one that comes out of the river. It's, and remember that, no sidewalk.
Thank you. And yeah, I will say, I appreciate you bringing it forward. We've done a lot about walkability in the community and look at trailers and community sidewalks. So I think that's important to point out. We're bringing up our images of stuff. And so the rail crossing may be a little bit tougher because they get a little prickly, but the parkland stuff certainly we have more control about.
You can see that there's a grass pathway, or there's a pathway in the grass that people have just made between that. I think it's on Tracks property. That leads to the railroad track sidewalk. And then where those yellow condos are. So I mean, people are just creating a pathway there because there is no sidewalk, but it's also then not feasible for people. And they're young kids that I see all the time just walking in the street. And it just makes me cringe. Yeah.
I think a little history on that is, you know, we always do the sidewalk program. We've done that for years. And that's part of the discussion has been there's a lot of places in town that don't have sidewalks.
There is, yeah.
You know, we need to look into it. I think it just hasn't been on the top of the list. Maybe we need to look at it. So you're talking not on the west side of Hadley Park, but the west side of the street in Hadley Park on 6th Street.
On 6th Street,
Yeah, so it'd be the west side of the street, the east side of the park. You said west side of the park. You meant the west side of the street, am I right? Am I right? Is that
So,
when you're on Sixth Street?
so I'm on Sixth Street.
Yeah, so the
and
east
so
side of the park.
on my right, in.
Right, gotcha.
Right here.
I just wanted to make sure I was here.
Yeah. Tracks, and there's also not a sidewalk.
Thank you. Is
Right, thanks.
there anyone else here to speak in the public forum? And we'll close it and move to old business A, approve pay request number 18 for the Pit House and HPC LLC, the amount of $150,938.85. Thank you. No discussion, please vote. It's approved. Takes us to B, resolution number 43, 2022-2024. Resolution certifying the population of the annexation area associated with resolution number 17, 2023-2024 for Bio-Nevada LLC from the state of Iowa.
Move to approve.
Second.
Sandy and Henry. Any no discussion there, council please vote. That is approved. Takes us to new business A, resolution number 44, 2023-2024. Resolution approving ARPA subrecipient number 50 grant agreement between Story County, Iowa and City of Nevada, Iowa.
Move to approve.
Second. Ryan, Steve. Any discussion? Seeing none, council please vote. That is approved. And for public that's here, that helps us put in infrastructure for some low and moderate income housing. We're using some of our funds for that and working with the county. For B, professional service agreement, amendment number 1, the Nevada wastewater treatment facility improvements phase 3 construction phase services contract with HR Green.
So we have submitted an amendment on the wastewater plant construction phase for the lift station. Due to the extent of time, the original construction for that. So the cover letter that's attached or was included here is to extend through services through September of this year. That's the contractor's scheduled to complete the work. We are needing additional funds to cover resident observation services to have an inspector out there during the construction and some additional construction phase work. Construction administration, specifically like pay application reviews, meetings, progress meetings, additional contractor correspondence. So the original project duration was 21 months of construction. The original contract and the contract completion date, the final completion was actually in September of 2023. So right now, the schedule that's been presented by the general contractor is a final completion in September of this year. So it's about 12 months behind. We've actually been able to kind of stretch the budget to cover all the construction phase services up to this point. So we've been able to stretch that for about an additional 4 months. And now we're coming up to essentially the time where the budget has been depleted to be able to maintain those services moving forward. The amendment does not include additional time for work that has not been done yet to date. So there are some parts of the project, such as like commissioning and startup, punch list development. All of that work has not been done. We're not to that point yet, and none of that budget has been used. So it still remains intact within the contract. So this amendment does not add anything to those services. You still have budget to cover that service or those services that are yet to be completed. It's just the work that's ongoing that we have initially planned to be done by this point in time. And due to the contractor's delay and due to the work completed. We're looking for an amendment to help cover for additional services to make it through the rest of the project.
Can you touch on the liquidated damages?
Yes, so the contract includes a clause for liquidated damages, which essentially is the city's and the contractor's agreement that establishes an amount that the contractor pays on a daily basis for not completing the work on time within the contract completion date. The way the contract is written is that amount is essentially in recognition of any financial suffering that the city would incur for the contractor not completing the work on time. And therefore, that is to essentially offset those financial losses that the city would incur for them not finishing by late September and having the system operational. So the mechanism that the city has to recover these additional costs is through the assessment of liquidated damages, which we do at the end of the project once the completion dates have been established. So once the work is done and those are established for the record, that then allows the city to calculate what your liquidated damages amount would be to offset against the contract with the general contractor. So that would be the mechanism to recoup your extra costs for these additional services and then other additional costs the city may incur.
We'll do approve it.
Second. Discussion?
So the odds are good, we'll get this back at the end based on the clause in the original contract.
We'll have a legal foot stamp.
Yeah, it's nothing's a sure thing, I understand. It would fall under the heading of you might get this back. Right. Yep. Well, I think we need to push on through.
No further discussion, council, please vote. Thank you. Moves to C, Story County Housing Trust Fund application or occupied rehab, $8,000 request with a $10,000 LMI city match.
I'll second.
Cindy. This is something that has been in our Vision 2040 plan to have some sort of owner occupied rehab program for those types of basic rehab needs and so on. Thank Jordan and Brenda for working on some options for us. We can start with a local program for them.
I think it's great to see us utilizing this very kind of stuff as well.
None, council, please vote. Is approved. Takes us to D, through purchase of electric utility vehicle for parks and recreation.
Yeah, an action form in your packet tonight. Just to summarize real quick, this essentially allows us to get rid of a vehicle that is in need. We can take one that we're currently using for full-time staff that we don't necessarily need anymore since we're with that down with part of with more of a seasonal vehicle. This unit will allow staff at school to navigate around the park, move equipment and supply to place to place without driving in. Something we've had in the plans all along, and it is an electric vehicle and will be stored inside.
Move to approve option one.
Second. And no discussion, council, please vote. Is approved. Takes us to E, city approved city school facility use agreement.
Second.
Brian, Steve,
This is just an update to the agreement we've had in place for quite a number of years with the school, just a reciprocal agreement. That puts in place use of, our facilities that the school may use and school facilities that we may use. Something we've had for quite a long time, just kind of lays a basic framework, but with some of the changes in our Victor Case Hall, now kind of a field house, school events and programs. Using some things at store, it just kind of creates that particular. So we sit down, every year we look at it, something to be addressed. We do that. And I'm just talking. It's been a good working arrangement with the district. And I think it's good.
Yep. Any other discussion? I'm not, please vote.
Thank you.
That is approved, takes it to F, approve new liquor license for Class E retail alcohol license for GA LLC DBA Sundown Liquor and Groceries, 731 Lincoln Highway, effective January 15, 2024. You will have plenty of discussion and you'll be able to vote however you wish, but we will need a motion to get it on the floor.
I'll move to approve.
Or, do we have Steve and Jason? And so we're getting into where I think many of you are interested in. I will say it's the item I've received the most correspondence on the city issue that I have in quite some time, and I think the same is true for the rest of the council. So I think we'll probably have some good discussion here this evening. I shared with many of you, one of my big passions since I've been here as a pharmacist has been on substance abuse prevention, tobacco cessation. We spent a lot of time, obviously, on our Lincoln Highway corridors and our Main Street district and kind of the future of those. So I very much understand and empathize and agree with a lot of the comments I've heard, but we also have a lot of legal requirements and things we have to clear as well. So what I've asked is for our city attorney to prepare a briefing for the council to kind of set the stage for tonight. We'll open up public comment. And then council will be able to ask questions. We do have ownership here and you'll be able to ask questions too about that specific case. So kind of to get it going, I think we'll have Erin kind of give an overview of the information she's put together for council, just so we're on the same page here on what options are for in front of the council. And I'll start calling up public. If you haven't given me a card, you'll still get a chance to address council, and we'll kind of discuss that when we get to that. Erin?
Okay, so typically you guys are sitting here and this is on consent. A lot of times it's renewals. And we have the benefit of knowing the past practice of the applicant. We can have, our police chief and our fire marshal stand up here and say, we've had no issues over the past, and it's really easy to just move forward with approving that request. Anytime there's new applications, questions come up because we just don't have the benefit of the history that we have when we've got renewals. So with that, the things that we're really looking at, with regard to the memo that you guys have in front of you, this was really focused on the CBD sales. And so we're not specifically tasked with that decision tonight. And in fact, you will see that the Iowa Code in the Hemp Act has a provision in there that specifically says that a political subsection of the state, which is the city, shall not adopt any ordinance, rule, or regulation regarding the manufacture, sale, or consumption of a consumable hemp product. And so there's a lot of information here about the history of how we got to this specific act, and how the legislature has played through that over the years. I expect we're going to see lots of interpretation through our case law now moving forward. But the city's hands are tied with respect to regulation of CBD sales. And so you guys have that in front of you, some boring nighttime reading for you later. But with regards to the alcohol permits, really what you're looking at is whether or not the applicant has good moral character and the financial security of the applicant. And so the things that you're looking at for good moral character is the applicant a U.S. citizen and an Iowa resident, and they're incorporated to do business in the state of Iowa, has no felony convictions, has not had any financial interest in a license that was revoked during the past 2 years, and has good financial. if you're meeting those prompts, they're meeting the requirements of the state code to be a good, to have good moral character and have good financial standing, as an applicant in the state. And so with that, I don't know if there was any specific questions from the council before we hear from the public, but, that was my opening remarks.
Council, go to public comment, thank you, okay.
I have
And,
one question on that. GALLC fulfill all those, have we done background? Make sure they fulfill all those requirements that you just said.
I have not been tasked with reviewing that, so I don't know.
So all liquor license and tobacco license get approved for the background through the fire department and the police department. And that's been the to reject.
so we will go to public comment, and then with this too, we will also ask that, if there are points that have been made by others, we don't kind of go through the same points over and over if we can. So I'm just gonna go in no particular order, we'll start with Andy Kelly.
Ian Kelly, 636, Lincoln Way. I'm in kind of a funny position here. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't know the owners. But I'm an advocate for property rights. You got a legal leaseholder selling a legal product. In a property that's zoned correctly. On a property the council has for years expressed the desire for it to be used for its purpose. They've got a convenience mart, and that's what it was before. I wouldn't see any reason to deny the license, so I'm here in support of them getting their liquor and tobacco license.
Outline Randy. Randy? Next we'll go to Luke.
Hey everybody, Luke Spence, 732 J Avenue. I sent you some studies over the weekend that I hope you've had a chance to go over. In short, they highlight the negative aspects to a community of increased density and availability of products these shops will sell. As ease of access increase in advertising and exposure to use of these products increases, so do all the negative health aspects of these drugs, increased drug use initiation among young adults, and higher poverty rates in neighborhoods with higher density sales of these products. I highlight that because I heard concerns from some of you about the potential short-term legal costs to the city of denying these shops a license. This is a short-sighted argument. The long-term economic costs to our community through the negative impact these shops will have far outweigh any short-term financial impact. For example, a 2017 study found that the cost of only one opioid use disorder included $14,000 in healthcare costs, $1,500 in substance abuse treatment costs, $7,000 in criminal justice costs, $14,000 in lost productivity, and $180,000 in reduced quality of life. So one single opioid addiction attributed to the increased availability and access of these shops would bring a higher cost to the community than the potential short-term cost of voting no tonight. That does not take into account any of the negative impact from the increased alcohol, tobacco, or vape availability of these shops would also bring. Voting no, even if they may appeal, sends a message that this business is not welcome. It increases the barrier of entry costs to businesses that offer no positive community impact, and sends a message to any other potential business start of this nature in the future that they will have an uphill battle. I've also heard the argument that these are the types of businesses that these properties are meant for, as Andy just said. So why deny them now after the property has sat empty? That is not true. These are not gas stations. They will not sell fuel. They will not use an on-site kitchen or sell food like Casey's or Good and Quick or the Come Go's that were there before. In fact, they wouldn't sell much of the items you'd see on the shelf in Casey's or Good and Quick today. In the 2020 census, our poverty rate in Nevada stood at 12%, which is just barely higher than the rate in Iowa. We've all heard from the local food banks and free meal organizations that their demand has increased every year since 2020. So it's safe to say that the rate has likely been rising. that rate of increase, not the rate of increase of that rate will continue to go up if these businesses open. To close, these businesses would only have a negative impact on our community. They add no value economically and provide no positive quality service. I ask you, we don't know on these licenses. Thank you.
Any further? Then next up, Jen McAvoy.
Yeah.
Favorite?
We did. Hi, my name is Jen McAvoy. I am a prevention specialist at Community Resources. I go into schools, it's about tobacco prevention, and meet with school board members, meet with principals. I'm gonna share with you today some statistics about vaping, some dangers, and why it's not be a good idea. In 2022, 15.8% of adults smoked. The high school tobacco use rate was 22.7%. In 2022, youth flavored e-cigarette use was at 84.9%. These companies target youth by creating fun and fruity flavors like mango, watermelon, you name it, there's over thousands of different flavors. I've met with principals that have caught 10-year-olds vaping, 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds. The most common form of smoking, the most common form of tobacco use is smoking, but the use of e-cigarettes has gone up significantly. There's been youth in the hospitals, youth that have had lungs collapse. It's really scary. The smoking age is 21, but youth are getting access through maybe a parent, an older sibling. All they would have to do is go online and check that they're 21. Kids can get THC through vaping websites now. There's different particles that go into these products, so lead, nickel, tin. There is a compound called diacetyl that causes popcorn lung. So the tiny particles go inside someone's lung, they get that popcorn look inside their lung, and our lungs shouldn't look popcorn. The smoking age was raised to 21 on December 20th of 2019, but we have more youth smoking than ever. A lot of youth know what smoke shops and what vape shops to go into that won't hurt them. A lot of youth are vaping at school and bathrooms. I've met with a couple of youth that had the consequence they were caught vaping. Standard pack of cigarettes contains 20 cigarettes. One jewel pod contains the equivalent of 41 cigarettes. This is equal to 2 packs of cigarettes. One puff bar, which is the disposable vape that contains the equivalent of 50 cigarettes. This would be if you smoke 2.5 packs of cigarettes. One Soren pod contains the equivalent of 90 cigarettes. This is 4.5 packs of cigarettes. The statistics are very scary. I work with youth. I have presentations to youth every single day. I talk with them, we warn them of the dangers. And it's very scary, the companies and these shops that are opening. A lot of them contain food, drinks, so kids could just go in and get these products. A lot of products have THC in them. Marijuana is not legal in Iowa, but we're finding ways around it. So I hope that today, after hearing this and knowing the work I'm doing in the community, I've done work at Nevada Middle School, Nevada High School. I've done programs with kids who are caught with marijuana, teaching them the dangers of it. I hope today that you really think about what it's doing to the youth. Just because the smoking age is 21 doesn't mean they're not getting it. If you think of the drinking age is 21, kids always find ways to get alcohol if they're underage. It's just very sad that we have kids as young as 10 who are vaping, young as 11 and 12. So I hope you take it into consideration and just think of the youth, not just the people that are of age. It's affecting the youth more than ever. Thank you.
And
Hi, my name is Ann Foley. I live at 1603 10th Street. I agree with her that 10-year-olds and all that stuff, you know, and I'm sorry that parents do that. It's wrong. They shouldn't get their parents, their kids vapes and stuff, but it's all out here. Alcohol, vapes, marijuana. You can get marijuana on the street. You get vapes, you can't get on the street. Alcohol, you go in any store in town here. If you're not old enough, yeah, you can find somebody. We all did. When we were younger, I can say, when I was 14, I bought my first pack of cigarettes at the age of 14. Gas station down the street where Dairy Queen used to be. I did it. But that was years ago, way much older now. And we, as a company, ID, if we sell something like a vape or alcohol or even CBD with THC in it, it all comes across to check ID. We do check ID. We have never been arrested or busted or anything like that. But choices are people. People have their own choices. Kids make their own choices. We can't control what we do, but they do, especially after a certain age. And it's sad, but that's what happens. It's just the way society is. Peer pressure on kids, whether they're 10, 15, 20, you know, they're all over. It's everybody's choice, and I don't think that everybody should be punished because everybody disagrees with something that's being sold. You know, THC is illegal in Iowa. But Delta 9 is the lowest form of THC that you can get in the United States, and it's legal in every state. And it's the lowest form. And it helps people. Like Kratom, it helps people. People that are taking opiates and overdose, you know, do too much of it, they try to get off of it by using Kratom. People that are alcoholics use Kratom to get off alcohol. They use Kratom to get off heroin and all that stuff that are really, really bad for you. They use this natural stuff. And yeah, anything can be addictive. Anything out here can be addictive if the person chooses to carry it that far. Now, everything's good for us. It's just part of life. And I think you should approve things. Vote yes for the liquor license and everything. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this issue? Yep, head up to the podium and take the name and address.
And Vanessa Seacon, 4722 18th Street. I'm kind of new to the Bay. I'm ashamed that we're not here more. However, tonight's, you know, issue really hits on me. I've done here many times in the past because I have so many teenagers, 3 in their early 20s, raising teenagers, anything else, of course, it's not easy. But along the years, I do believe we're going to be too. You know, there is a law, and if the licenses go up to be given because they're free, you know, required or not, then what can we do to stop it again? But I feel like when you mentioned we have places when adults police are incomplete, full responsibility to watch out for future generations. So I'm really praising my life. I have done research. I don't have to. I've been through it with my children and still trying to help guide them. Unfortunate circumstances have led them to different paths than what I would like. But it would be sure nice if around the corner wasn't something for one of their friends that is of legal age to run and get and bring to school next day. So yes, people can make their own decisions, but we have to watch out for those that are not ready to make those decisions. You know, so I encourage the government.
Anyone else like to speak?
Hello, Mike Sauer, 3643, and I'm just gonna bring up about Kratom. Yeah. It's a crutch for opiate withdrawal. I know firsthand, I've seen it. I know someone that goes by the book with methadone. And that's very highly regulated, kratom. On the kratom, I went to a website called kratomcountry.com. It says that there's really no age limit for Iowa for it to be now. I don't know if that's true or not. Kratom Country sounds like it's pretty favorable and, you know, important. The Mayo Clinic, another website I went to, the Mayo Clinic highly recommends not to use kratom. And I don't remember why, but they just say it's Mayo Clinic. I trust the Mayo Clinic. That's all I need.
Anyone else? And then we'll move on to council discussion. A little bit of background I forgot to mention too, since this came up, I've gone to visit with Mayor Hale and Mayor Jensen, since they have the same ownership group in their communities, and Jordan and Ryan and I did go look at one of the locations ourselves, and Jordan reached out to city staff in those communities to get their feedback too, just so we had more quantitative information too. Go ahead and kick it up, open discussion. So Mayor Hale and Mayor Jensen both have had no issues with this ownership group. Obviously it hasn't been in Story City all along, but it's been named for quite a while. We did ask questions, which actually was informative for me, and the deal with you. You can ask questions as well. But we asked, you know, how their ID process works, what technology they have, what their age limits are for things, and those types of things. So, it was helpful, I think, for me to go observe that too.
I talked with the staff, and for the 12 years that they're in Ames, there was no violations, no issues, and the owners have been very respectful. Mark Jackson, when I spoke with him about it, he said the same thing. For the short time that they've been open the Story City, that they've been very respectful and not violating laws or regulations.
Can you explain,
And we'll probably have to come to the microphone too.
wouldn't mind just explaining why you're opening the food shop here in town?
This is Adil, I'm from Ames, 5418 Missouri Street. So we were interested, we've been looking for the store, I think, from past 2 years. But I met the fire chief, 2 years ago. I was looking for a space because the gas station, any of the gas stations were not answering us if they want to leave or not. So, yeah, we were interested in one of the stores, and as we couldn't find any space except for those gas stations. So we moved to Story City. We opened a store there, and in the meantime, they contacted us. They said we are willing to leave. We had some legal issues going on. So now we are done with that. So we are going to leave now. So, but we were interested in 731 Lincoln Highway, as both of the gas stations have the same owner. And he was interested in giving both the stores or none. So, and he was giving us a good deal for both the stores, because both of the properties will be in running condition. So that's why we took both the stores. And if I can give you some information about the IDs and stuff. So we have an NRS system scanner system, like this cash register. On that cash register, we have different departments for all the stuff like food, farm, and everything. So whenever they scan anything like cigars, cigarettes, or vape or anything, it will pop up and check the ID. So the employee has to click the verify button. So then the employee will be able to sell it after checking the ID. if they don't verify it, they won't be able to sell. And as far as the CBD products, we are selling the products which are allowed by the state. And the procedure is that we have to make a file of the product. And then we have to send the file to the, I think it is the HHS department, which issue the licenses. So we have to send the file to them and they approve that you guys are allowed to sell these products, then we start.
There are age limits on any of those.
Yeah, 21 years of age,
All that.
or even for Kratom, because we heard rumors also that there is 18 plus can buy Kratom, but we are not doing that. The age limit is 21 for CBD, Kratom.
Did you answer the question about why two locations?
Yeah.
Got it.
Oh, my English is not very good.
No, that's not your English, it's not.
We appreciate you being here. What's your intention for signage on that side of the store? Are you gonna advertise that you have those particular products?
So we have signs in Ames and in Troy City also for vape, for CBD, for vape, CBD and lottery and all that. So we put those signs on that. There is no sign like THC and stuff. CBD sign we are allowed to put on the outside the store, so we do. Yeah.
Are you kind of envisioning this to be more like your Ames location or Story City? And just
Story City.
Story City?
Saw that one of the locations had the word grocery in the name of the store. Was there intention to offer grocery items as well?
Some of the we used to be in Ames also. So because if we put like a liquor and smoke shop, we have to have the groceries in there because I think it's something with the insurance. They don't do insurance for just the liquor and smoke shop, so we have to have groceries in there.
I guess that was kind of one of my questions too. Just on the Ames location, you have hot sandwiches or I believe that's what you have or something on.
Have the hot sandwiches. Now we have the frozen food and stuff. Like the sandwiches, we have pizzas, frozen stuff, and we have milk and all that. So not a big of the grocery, just.
So I see you've been doing a lot of work on the outside of the buildings. Is there any intention to do anything with the gas pumps, the canopies? I see they're just wrapped in plastic. Are you guys gonna try to help the face look of the properties more with that stuff?
So the gas, there's something going on with the tank. So the gas stuff is the owner who is gonna do the gas stuff. We have nothing to do with the gas. So we are just renting the inside space.
Gonna look like hell, but I don't know what we can do other than say no and go get it approved. There's still gonna be people.
Finally, and one more point is if you talk about the minors getting the stuff. So like APD department and the police department, they do compliance check every twice after 2-3 months. So they send someone in and if we don't sell it, even in Ames store when I worked here for a year by myself. So the cop comes in after that because we don't sell them and they appreciate us for doing that. So it's not like we are opening a store and the police department and ABD department forget about it. So they keep the compliance check, they check after every 3 months to that we are working on the IDs or not.
Further questions or discussion? I'm less than excited about the whole prospect and nothing against you personally, you know, I don't know that our small town in Beta is really That's sort of a theme that we prefer not to promote here. I do appreciate that some people do choose to use these products and they deserve a right to be able to purchase those as well. They're legal under state law. I feel like we've done our due diligence to establish that, you know, you meet the state requirements. I don't know what leg we have to stand on to not approve the liquor and cigarette license group that proposed. So, I'm not happy about it, but I'll probably vote in favor to approve them because he does meet the requirement. I would hope that, you know, you as an operator are sensitive to the community. There are people here that, you know, are very upset about this. I've been getting their emails all week. I'll be happy to send them to you if you'd like. Don't worry, I won't.
That's the reason I am here, because if this community is gonna come to our stores, some of them.
Yeah.
Because these all matter to us, that's why I'm. To answer your.
We appreciate that you're here. Yes.
I do appreciate you being here and for questions. Similar to the, you know, personal event, but yeah, we've heard a lot about this issue and overwhelmingly not supportive, but again, I hear the things Luke says and everybody else, and I've got 2 young kids, and that's the thing I think about a lot. But at the end of the day, you know, we voted down, it could be appealed, probably gets approved anyway. How much are we gonna rack up in legal fees along the way, and for what? You know what? And there, so. I mean, as far as the creative issue, that's, and any of the existing business in the town could decide to sell that if they could, and you know, we could stop that, so we can't really use that as a bar for interest for another business. So I kind of the same way as Steve. I mean, I don't want to vote yes, but I don't want to.
It actually seems to me the state of Iowa has some work to do here, to regulate some of these products and, you know, let the will of the people decide if it should be available in the state or not. I know there's other states that ban some of these products. But I don't believe that's our position as a city council. We'll take a stand on a particular thing, whether we feel that way or not.
And it's frustrating too, they are every night, we don't listen, we don't care, you know, we're gonna do what we want or whatever, and I want to stress that is not the case. If I, right, yes, Natalie, absolutely. You know, I hate that perception.
Here, we'll have you go to the microphone. You good.
But I'll say, it kind of aggravates me. And I'm sure Aaron's gonna have a good answer. Kind of aggravates me that we even have to deal with it. It's pretty much the state decides. Why are they asking us? I mean, we pretty much, we don't have a say in it. I mean, unless we want to try to make a precedent or something, but the state's pretty much tied our hands on this. And it aggravates me, we even have to make a decision because there is no decision to be made. The state's made the decision for it. I mean, yeah, we could vote no, and we all know where that'll end up. It'll just cost him a bunch of money because we'll all be in court for God knows how long, and then the state will say, what are you guys doing? You know, it's legal. That's what's aggravating about this whole situation, you know. We might not like it, but we don't have a choice. We really don't have a choice. If the state's gonna let them decide, why are they asking us? I'll stop right there.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely true with the CBD, which you're not
Yeah.
really being asked to do anything with. I mean, it's legal. And I do think, you know, to Steve's point, there's gonna be case law, there's gonna be new legislation. If anything, I think it's probably gonna become more lenient. We are surrounded by states that are more open to marijuana and cannabis than we are. So I think we're gonna get more interpretation, but I don't know that it's gonna get more strict over the years. With regards to the alcohol licensure, you know, the idea is that the state and the city are gonna work hand in hand. We might know facts that they don't, and we have, like I said, normally when we've got renewal, the city does have some unique perspective, just in that relationship that the state might not have, so. That's the goal.
Fire compliant, too, regular, and make sure it's safe.
Right. But if he follows the rules, we cannot, I mean, we can't. And he's followed the rules, he's brought everything up to code, fire, and, you know, Chris has done, and Ryan's done his due diligence, and Ray, and it is aggravating. Yeah. Thanks, Aaron.
You're welcome. Let me feel better.
Yeah.
Have you take your name and address for the record?
Tom Poplar, 705 14th Street Place, Nevada. I think you do have a choice here. We don't need two of them. You can approve one. See how they do? Why not? They both of you get your way. You get the no, they get a yes, they get to try it. Why not? We don't need two of them. I heard there's rumors there's gonna be a third one. Is that true? Nobody wanna comment on that?
So my father owns the former Ben Franklin's. Okay, we were approached by somebody that said they wanted to open a convenience store that was going to sell groceries, related products and ancillary products. So they submitted the name of the company that they owned. We investigated the company name. We investigated the people who were gonna be on the lease. No issues came up among people that were gonna be on the lease or with what they wanted to do, what they wanted to sell. So then all these rumors started. And we contacted them and said, we like them selling these products. But we want to have a small display of this, a small display of that. And so I said, under the lease, under this law, you're not permitted to do those things. So you cannot sell kratom, you cannot sell bongs or anything related to that. So what you told us you wanted to do, which was to sell grocery related products, other convenience related products, they spoke to us about giving them our flower vendor, they spoke to us about giving them other vendors that we had from products and product lines that my father sold and my mother sold that were successful. And so those are all things that I've been working with them on. But they do have a valid lease, but they have specifically been told they cannot sell certain of these products.
So if that's the case, there won't be a third one. That still boils back down. You have a choice. Veto one of them, accept the other one. Let them do their thing. Thank you.
And I'm happy to answer any other questions. I know I was facing Don at that time, so I apologize, but if any of you have any questions relating to that, I know it's not on the agenda. But just to answer any questions of people.
Did you appreciate that? Do you think we can always get your contact info?
Yeah, I mean, most of you know how to get it.
Well, yeah, go ahead and microphone.
Hello, I'm Barb Olber, my address is 203 8th Street. And a question that I have that came up while we had discussion here, does that mean that if this company is leasing the buildings, those two locations, and the gas pumps are owned by the owner, that they will continue to be wrapped and look like that for however long he wants to leave them that way?
So I've been working with our city attorney, Aaron, over here about what we can do to really get rid of those gas tanks and either bring them up to compliance or actually require them to remove those. So the city does have to put an ordinance in place to make that happen. And that's something that we're working on right now. I just got some information about it last week, so we're working on putting an ordinance in place. That way we can require them to become compliant with the DNR or actually make them remove those tanks from it. Because that was something that we have been working on, and I had to reach out to all of the other communities in the state of Iowa to see if they had something available, an ordinance available. And Aaron also had to reach out to their contacts to see what we could find out, and we were able to get, I want to say it was from Oskaloosa, is that correct? An ordinance from Oskaloosa that I think will help make our case stronger and require them to remove or become compliant with the DNR standards.
Does that mean they have the opportunity to grandfather this in? Since you let them have the license with the pumps there, Are they gonna get the grandfather that in?
That's,
Yeah, I mean, we'll be looking into all those issues as that comes up. I see them as two different issues though, and so for tonight, what we're talking about is the license issue. We will have plenty of discussion on what will happen with the pumps at a later date.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
And the pump discussion is independent of.
Yep.
And we've been trying to take care of the abandonment issue for quite some time too, and much like you heard, there was non-response because they were going through their own internal legal battles within the corporation, so we've been trying multiple angles to try to get those buildings out of their possession.
Jordan, you brought up that, you're looking at some code things, the horse is already out of the barn here, but I think we should maybe look into enacting some code or policies of the city about the number of smoke shops that we can have in the city and their proximity to downtown or schools or areas where youth might be prevalent. I know there's other cities that have done that, but I don't kind of know much about it, but it is a thing. You can also, like, I don't know how Iowa does it, but there might be the chance to have some city code that would limit what sort of advertising would be on the building. So that perhaps they couldn't advertise kratom or other things that, we really probably don't want kids to advertise.
and what's a good suggestion? I can get with Aaron and see what legal things we can come up with.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily affect these two, like, it could,
Really
could limit.
We tell it for years, it's been verbally controlling this business with the ground, so. However, we want to definitely define outside appearances. I want to just say that the citizen input is very valuable. And they really do appreciate all of the input and that people really do care, done a lot of research and our opinion. I too would be voting no. I do not like this idea at all. Businesses of this nature, just with security and the issues we talked about, Luke brought up earlier about, the eventual, potential outcome, this sort of thing. That we're promoting it, is what I'm all about business. It's a real struggle for me. My work's been in business development forever. I want business here. But we have to match up all of this quality of life along with the business. But as we've already noted, we're just figureheads sitting here when it comes to voting and really having control at this moment on this issue.
I do have one request. It's probably pretty petty and you can probably go jump in the lake. If there's any way you could submit from having a pot leaf on your sign,
Not having a copy.
that would be great.
Yeah, we won't put the parley sign there.
So your CBD sign won't include that?
No,
That would be great.
it won't.
There won't be any odd sign there, so is it just CBD fine or we?
He's asking if it's just CBD and no, not pot either. If we have the just.
Well, better than have pot leaf and CBD.
Because there's two different kinds, there's CBD, just CBD. No Delta-9 in it whatsoever, and then there's CBD with Delta-9.
It's fine, we're not gonna put any CBD sign.
And, but we won't put any CBD sign if that's.
On both of the stores, there won't be any CBDs.
And
I know.
And that,
We can
Steve,
have
I agree with what Steve said on that too, because I know as a new one on here, coming into this. It's been so difficult coming through this because, and it's not directly at your business, but the marketing that goes with the products. It is appealing, it's bright colors, it's, it's meant to draw you in, and I'm that way too. I see something cool that's, colorful, advertised great, it pulls you in, and that's just part of it. And, that's more, that's a bigger issue than what we're, it's that product itself, but, and I can't think of her name, and I apologize for it, who just spoke, she was sitting in the front row, Jen. But I think that's something, I've had people reaching out on how different products that have been in here, impacted them all, their children, and how this is a part of it, and it does feel like with the law, it's it's frustrating because it does feel like it's almost like we have no ground to stand on, and we just have to go with it. And I know I'm echoing, but that's just been something extremely difficult on that for me, just because I know it comes with the product and marketing and advertising, like what you're saying, it's just part of that. And yeah, I've just really struggled with that part. I know a lot of people have reached out in regards to the specific, you know, with the liquor side of it, you know, we have the 4 or 5 establishments in town that resell liquor and cigarettes too and everything. So, you know, they're pretty, you know, they're existing businesses and that part of it, but it just seems like it, yeah, I'm just echoing, but it just seems like a difficult spot with not having a ground to stand on, but seeing it right in front.
I did see a couple of hands go up, so we'll get a couple public things and then we'll let council finish discussion and probably call for a vote, so.
And I just want to, you know, try. Is there any way, I actually don't remember the answer to the question you were asked about the labeling, it's not versus also. Yes or no?
If we have some groceries, it most likely be like sandwiches and stuff like that. One does have a kitchen and it would be great to open it, but
If at all possible, would you consider not selling groceries, because that increases your insurance for the product. And I feel like that would be a road for children to come to your store, it would be great for business for you down the road. However, they know it's there if they want,
yes,
but groceries, that's gonna take 10-year-old in there. They're gonna go looking for their mom's stash.
Yeah. there's
So it's, you know, it just, if at all possible, and you're going on, you know, 23 and girls doing sports and others, if you really do care about children and the future of the way, please, maybe don't do that. It's an idea. Fine idea.
Maybe you have anything to add before?
I did, Steve had brought up maybe limiting the amounts of them, and it kind of reminded me of something when the state instituted, you know, no smoking in public spaces, they did it in what, other than state fair and state casinos, right? Because their argument was, you know, we don't want to lose money from revenue, it's good for everybody else, but not the government. And I know, I don't want to oversimplify, we're talking about more than just alcohol, but if you can't regulate the THC, CBD, that gets you back to alcohol, tobacco products. And in a case of do what we say, not what we do, we gotta keep in mind that just a block from here, we promote a city activity that features alcohol consumption. You know, we wanna eliminate some of the spots where we promote alcohol consumption, we can do that, we have city events where that's a big part of it. I have a hard time with the government being allowed one thing, but business is not allowed.
Council. Anything else?
We have a motion and a second on it.
No other discussion, council please vote. Okay, that is approved. So it takes us to G, approved new liquor license for Class E retail alcohol license for GA LLC DBA Hot Stop Liquor and Groceries 136 Lincoln Highway, effective January 15, 2024.
Move to approve.
Second, Ryan, Steve. Any other discussion? Seeing none, council please vote. That is approved. Takes us to H. Approve new fiscal year 2023-2024 retail cigarette tobacco permits effective January 9th, 2024 to January 30th, 2024. Are those done different separately? Not done at all?
I would go separately.
Okay, so number one is new Sundown Liquor and Grocery, 731 Lincoln Highway.
Move to approve.
Jason, Dane. Any discussion on that? None, so. That one, I think it's, so it takes us to two, new Hop Stop Liquor and Grocery, 136 Lincoln Highway.
Move to approve. Second.
Steve and Brian. No other discussion, council please vote. That is approved, which takes us to a report, starting with city administrator.
All right, so I had a couple of conversations with Aaron regarding, as I mentioned earlier, the underground tanks. Laws and regulations pertaining to the CBD and Kratom, what we discussed tonight. Several board meetings pertaining to Rotary, IMU, ADC, NEDC. We're back on the discussion for geotabs for our vehicles, which will help with maintenance of those and how we can do a better job of stretching those vehicles out. Had our economic outlook breakfast that basically provided an oversight of the coming years for our economy and how that's going to look. At our Burke meeting, which we're still moving forward with those meetings. And I sent you those 3 agreements that we have set up right now. So I'd be happy to answer any questions about the Burke agreements, or really the pre-treatment manual that we're also proposing. Wastewater progress meetings, we've had a few of those. And we discussed today, Tim and I, with Sandy and HR Green, our sponsored projects. We're currently at 90% design. We're planning on moving on to getting those approved and bidding those in late March for one of the 3 parts of those. And then the mayor, Brian, Tim and I attended the city school meeting, and all of the mayor will expand on what we discussed for the school meeting. But you also have my report, and I'm happy to answer any more questions that you have regarding any of the.
Read right in the agreement with Burke and Revivals gonna take on some of the Burke waste, is that something?
So
Happen or just proposed?
it's proposed, so basically what Verbio said is they can actually take all of the different kinds of grease that Burke creates. They have really 5 different types of grease that they produce with their manufacturing. And the last note that I read from Verbio, that it's going to take at least a year to work through all the kinks for each one of those greases. So we could potentially see one of those greases be taken next year, and then each one following that every year, so on. But they still have testing to see how they can use it, and utilize it within their own operations.
What kind of burden relief on it?
I don't know the exact figures for it, but it would help quite a bit. Oh, probably more than that. I would think probably. Really, it was a meeting that Brenda set up and talked with Verbio and Burke about it. And so they kind of got together, and I think Burke is trying to figure out ways that they can limit their grease to us as well. So they set up a meeting and started talking about it, and Verbio kind of got all their heads together, and kind of figured out that, yeah, I think this is a possibility. So I think it would help tremendously if the city, it would relieve the city off of a lot of load if that was possible. So I'm hoping it is, but we're still at least a year away from knowing that. But yeah, it would it would definitely be good for our future load and would allow, yeah, we wouldn't be as stressed out when it comes to the expansion. Yeah.
Anything else for Jordan? Okay, so moving on from my report, I didn't want to give a shout out to the police department, Covey Park and Rec. I have a feeling they had a hand in it too, but all the snow removal, I know was about a record week. If it didn't break the record, it was right at it from the snowfall. So I know it was a lot to come at our staff and they did a fantastic job making sure we could all get around the community. The league's legislative committee continues to meet. They're still trying to figure out what actually has legs and what's more performative at this point in the session. So, keeping us plugged in on what's going on in Wayne. Curry County Emergency Management had the budget workshop last week, and one thing they're working on is a new emergency operations center. Currently, it's very space constrained in the basement of the county building. And at one point, the county, the supervisor was talking about moving this Ames. Commission didn't like that idea because that would put City of Ames, ISU, and the county's emergency centers all in the same community in case of emergency. They wanted to keep it geographically different. So the county did take possession of the old Mosaic building on 11th Street, and also they're targeting to hopefully have a new emergency operations center. So part of this budget will actually be to start putting money away for that. They're applying for a grant for the generator that would be needed to make that an EOC. So there's a federal FEMA grant they're applying for. So starting to put things in place to have the operations center have more space in the Mosaic building. So there's a lot more to come. Their facilities folks have to come for the whole plan, but that's the direction the commission would like to go. And Jordan mentioned the city school meeting pursuant to the last council meeting. A really good discussion about resource officer, I think, covered a lot of good ground on what that can look like and where potential funding may come from. And so, you know, Dr. Gray's going to take that to their school board retreat in a few weeks. And I know I've heard from most of you about opinions, so, and budget committee can dig into some of the finer details as well. But if Brian has anything he'd like to add, it, I feel pretty positive about the way the discussion went today.
Covered pretty well. Good.
And you're
Not paid for it.
Yeah. Do you have any questions for us? Council report?
Leadership Nevada kicked off for the year. If you don't know what Leadership Nevada is, it's basically training and integrating and creating new leaders for our community. Great program that touches many different groups and organizations within the community.
Yeah, then consider applying next year.
Yep, there you go. So it's great to see that going again. Looks like they've got a great bunch this year, and they usually accomplish one or several of their project goals at the end of it. There's been notable projects throughout the community. Downtown Planters, I think our park out front here was maybe one of those projects at one point. There's
Field House was the original one.
Field House, there you go.
Yeah. So one thing I did forget to add is February 6th, the leadership, that is the city day for the leadership. So we will be able to drive around the community, check out all the departments, and it's very informative for people that haven't taken the leadership class. They learn quite a bit of the city operations and what each department does. It's one of my favorite days when I'm a little biased.
We've had the opportunity to talk to the leadership class about Vision 2040 because the previous leadership class is all the projects that were part of Vision 2020. So hopefully that gives them some good ideas, some things they can get over to help get some more boxes off the plan. Yeah, why?
Speaking of 2040, tomorrow is the inaugural meeting of the newly formed commission on the arts for the community of Nevada, so they will be meeting. And one of those goals will be looking at the 2040 and what was done and what people expect in our community around public art and
Which is a good reminder to the historic preservation met for the quorum, and they went through the 2040 committee for the things they need to work on. So, terrific. Those groups, I think, will be
Good alignment.
Other council report? No. Staff.
Ray Reynolds, Fire Chief, just real quickly, I want to make the council aware, Congressman Eastra's staff reached out to us about the thermal views and the oxygen fires. And we have a meeting set up to discuss. We've also agreed to take on a more active role in documenting these fires throughout the country that are more prevalent than we thought, and that has always been an issue. And then lastly, with the thermal fuse, as you know, Iowa has adopted reimbursement of the thermal fuse. Taking some efforts actually to kind of kick that off. And so we're hoping that last piece of Medicare reimbursement takes in there, but there's been very big progress. USA Today has reached out to us for some information about thermal fuses and where we at Nevada would like to take this project.
Thanks for working on that.
Say you want pollution control, just our continued regular maintenance, monitoring and surveillance of the treatment plant lift stations for all flow basin. We did replace drop pump number 2 and replaced it with a regional spare. We were able to get into the trickling filters and everything before the cold snap and clean and change oil service of them, our first stage in bio towers. Of course, the last 2 weeks have been fighting the cold, keeping beach plates on, keeping them locking up and breaking and everything. We got through that just fine. And the DNR was up and did their quality inspections on all the generators within the city. They passed. Thank you.
And we do have an update from Main Street.
I just wanted to report that we have a new president this year, so John Augustus, who works for he is our Main Street Nevada president this year. And speaking of him, the Tipton Apartments, the second story upper living grant project is almost finished. I got to walk through it last week with a state representative to see how the grant was coming along. So that is super close to being done. So I just want to say thank you to the city for supporting Main Street, letting me do neat projects like that. Yeah, there's lots of negative chatter about what's coming to town, but we also have a lot of really, really great things going on downtown too. And none of those big projects and things would be possible without the city's support. So thank you guys.
Well, you all know what I've been doing.
During the budget, the presentation, budget workshop will be next week after the regular council meeting. The maximum levies that we have to approve, that will be the February 26th meeting. And then we have to get those to the county, and they'll send out a letter to all the property owners of what a value of $100,000 property might look like with those levies. Not just from the city, but the county and the schools as well. Then the one thing I did want to ask were to have a special meeting just regarding those levies in the county's letter that they send out. And I know I've been talking about it. And we're scheduling that for March 25th. So I want to know if you want to, it has to be its own separate meeting, just a public hearing. Anybody that wants to talk about it, or if you guys want to talk about it that night, and then we can close it and have our regular meeting after. Do you want to start the special meeting at 6 and then have our regular meeting at 6:15? Want to do something like that? Or we can start it earlier. Want to just stay with 6 and then do our regular meeting at 6:15? Okay, we'll do that. And then the budget isn't due until April 30th, so we have an extra month there, but we can schedule the hearings afterwards. That's what we're working on. Is there any questions?
Thanks.
Most of our time has been spent field house related, and I sent out
separate memo about a week and a half ago, we ago, some updates on the project. Moving along, nothing, really had changed since that, except we are looking into a couple issues with the curve, and we hope to have some answers and response, from the manufacturing, company, here in the next day or so, with, how to proceed with that. So, hopefully not a big hiccup, but, gotta get through it and, get this thing across the finish line. So, other than that, we're actively planning for spring and summer, so we are advertising for summer help. So I would encourage anybody that knows somebody that's interested, looking for part-time support work, to reach out to us. We'd love to, visit with them. And, other than that, Jordan mentioned the SRF sponsor project meeting the other day. Things are moving along very well with that. Looking forward to getting that. You have to answer any questions.
Just because it's 32 degrees, you start thinking about summer.
Okay.
Just because it hit 32 degrees, you start thinking about summer.
No, when we get back to work on January 2, summer starts, so we've been in it for a while.
What's the fully open date, Tim, on the field house? Let's hear it.
Be nice.
Yeah,
Every time they give a date. something
yeah,
happens.
I understand. We're getting close.
We're getting
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
I don't have anything for the evening, but I'll answer any questions. Same, let's get that question, but turn to my back this time.
Sorry, speak up.
Yeah, same.
I don't have my card.
All right.
I don't have anything for first question.
I did as well.
Council, anything?
I can just hear a few more. I don't have anything unless you have any questions related to wastewater.
And only the wastewater. And only the wastewater.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I'll move to adjourn.
Dane, Jason, all those in favor? I want to thank all the public for being here tonight. Coming. Thank you.
Thank you all.